That's a good one. That's a good. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on, friends of the OneCast? Welcome back to Fishing Friday Live, the last Friday in the month of July. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
You doing good?
Oh, yeah.
You doing good enough to head on over to onecastfishing.com and use the code OneCast to save 10% on
What's up,
all the snagless jigs, weedless snathead, soft plastics, apparel that you have, Ben, on the website, to include the podcast apparel, which none of us are wearing tonight. Shame on us. But if you
What
got,
are you talking about? You
Oh, yeah.
blind?
oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought we were wearing matching shirts. My bad. But guys, show support to those who support us the most. Head on over to OneCast Fishing. Use the code the OneCast. Save 10% at checkout. Oh, by the way, while you're doing that, head on over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code the OneCast to save 20% on all your apparel, from gloves, all the UPF shirts, the hats, the neck buffs, all that good stuff to help you stay protected from those UV rays. And speaking of being protected from the UV rays, I'm holding a pair of Hobie floating frames right here. These are the ones I use in dirty water conditions based on the lens color. And I'm going to slaughter the lens color, so I'm not going to try. But head on over to Hobie Eyewear. Use the link that Pete drops in the description. You're going to save 15%. You're going to save 15% on your order of Hobie Eyewear. They got tons of different styles that you guys can choose from. These nice form-fitting glasses that we like to wear. They got lifestyle glasses. I know Ben rocks a pair of those. My daughter rocks a pair of them as well. They got prescription sunglasses as well if you need a little bit more specialized needs. But Hobie Eyewear is going to keep you covered and keep you protected from those harmful UV rays.
Proud of you.
Right? Just rock
You did the
all
whole
of
thing
it.
and you didn't even mess up a single time. You got to talk because I'm trying to find the link.
All right,
Put me
so
on the spot.
we're back. Fishing Friday Live. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of fishing, I guess, that's going on. I know iCast just got over. Ben, you just got back from that. And if you guys are
What's up, David and Jeff?
our last episode that dropped was an iCast coverage episode, right,
We
Ben?
didn't. You guys didn't do a live that Friday, did you?
No, we didn't.
No, we
we
didn't
had
do
bad
that.
storms. And you were gone, and to be quite frank, I just didn't feel like driving over here in the storms.
Yeah.
We
try-
didn't know what the internet was going to be because of
Yeah.
the storm. So
And by the way, folks, we just switched internet companies out here. I know we've been talking about internet problems for well over a year. Finally, a new company, I won't name the name, just, dug a bunch of lines and offered a way better deal, because we were getting like 50 megabytes per second out here. Now we have doubled that speed at about $50 less a month, right? So whatever that previous company is, it sucks to suck because you're probably going to go out of business.
we're still
but-
on the previous companies right now, though.
Are we?
Yeah, because you haven't set up the mesh system with the new one yet. So we got
Don't say I haven't done nothing.
your wife
I'm not the
hasn't.
tech
Your
guy.
wife hasn't set up the mesh system,
This is
Yeah.
listen.
but it's working.
you just
working.
good thing my wife doesn't listen to this.
She probably is. Now I'm gonna die. So it was nice knowing y'all. Thank you for the support. Continue to watch these guys. R.I.P.
Watch your head when you open the door.
I'm just kidding. She's a lovely lady. She would never hurt me.
Uh,
But 50 more for 50 less.
that's right,
Yeah.
David. That's how we do
I ended up-
negotiation.
I ended up setting up with the same provider at the new house and got like a stupid deal for 2 years. So they're trying to get people, I guess, running new lines. So we'll see how it goes. There's your son Avery. I thought that was your wife coming to kill me. I saw a bag of trash. I thought she was going to come here and beat me to death.
Taking the
But
trash.
I saw Jeff ask what's on the agenda. We don't really have one set for tonight.
I
There's
don't
not
know.
a lot going on. We were
Tell
just
them
gonna
to tell us.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's a good. Yeah, ask questions.
ask questions. We're just gonna run our mouths off.
Yeah.
Yesterday we recorded next week's episode. It's gonna be a really good one.
If they have iCast questions, I mean,
Yeah.
'cause we can do it
iCast
live.
question.
They
Ben,
ask.
run down. I know Pete was like, "Don't talk about that," but let's talk about it anyways. Talk about the.
We just did a whole episode on it. Go listen to that.
Well, the cool thing is, so new news for next year.
Yeah.
Major League Invitationals is going to bring a championship
Mhm.
back.
Yeah. If they exist.
And so the beauty of that is if for anybody that knows anything about the Major League Fishing Invitationals, it costs $5,000 to enter a tournament, right? That's a lot of money. And we've already seen anglers this year, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he posted a YouTube video. It was about 28 minutes long. And he was like, I'm bowing out of the invitationals this year because it's so expensive to fish it. And while the payouts are worth it, they're only taking 5 into the Bass Pro Tour next year because all the cuts that are happening, and there's no championship. So really the incentive, if you don't have a sponsor paying for it, is to go fish the Toyota Series, which costs $1,800 per tournament. Now they're bringing the championship back. I think that's a good thing. But like Pete said, though, like, what's the heartbeat look like of that organization?
The problem is
the future will tell. You know?
They raised entry fees for the invitationals 2 years ago. At the same time, they took away the championship. So they raised fees, they took away the championship. They lost a ton of anglers to the point where, and I try not to talk down on them, to the point where Major League Fishing had to invite co-anglers to fish the invitationals as boaters, not based off of merit, but just trying to fish the slots.
Yep.
And it's no knock on anybody that got one. Good for you. They were inviting people that fished one BFL to fish the invitationals.
Right.
So I think that damage is done at this point. I almost guarantee you they're going to raise entry fees again because they've got to now pay for however many you're going to fish the championship, and they've guaranteed money in that. So they've got to make money to be able to pay that out. You can only bleed the BFLs, which is their cash cow, so dry. Right.
Yeah.
To where it's not people are going to quit fishing those. So.
They did pick up a sponsorship about a month or two ago, and it was a pretty big sponsorship. I don't remember who it was, unfortunately.
What's up, Brad?
I was like, oh, that was
Rodney.
I was like, well, that's got to be some good news for him. They at least someone agreed to continue to do business for him for the next 4 years or however long it was. So
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, the guys that are fishing the invitationals, the guys that are fishing any of the Major League Fishing events, they're all good dudes. And they're all out there for the same reason. And the happy part about the news story is they're bringing something back that they have to look forward to, right? They have a championship at least to look forward to because there are so many limited slots going into the Bass Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows what the future looks like of that league. I hope it still exists because the less amount of leagues, then the less opportunities for the younger anglers to grow up into the industry and stuff like that. So, but at the end of the day, that's about the most new news that we have nationally in the fishing industry. And if you guys heard anything different, let us know. And then locally, right? We talked about this a couple episodes ago. We had some big old bags dropped, but now we had water increase over 2 feet on a lot of our local lakes here in the Piedmont region. We got a good buddy. We're not going to name his name, but he's out there right now. And he's like, man, it's tough. Right. And that's something I don't think we've really talked about that a lot. And to be fair, I don't really have a lot of experience with that. Maybe you guys do.
Yeah, it's always going to be tough the first day or two
Yeah.
when you get a quick rise like that. Once it stabilizes, you're going to have some really good shallow water fishing for a couple of days. If you're fishing while the rain's dumping, then it can be really good. If you're fishing some of those runoffs and stuff in the back of the pockets, the bait fish and all that'll pull in there because it's washing all of their food into there. And then once that steady rain and that runoff stops, it just kind of becomes stagnant for a couple of days. They're waiting for the water level to stabilize. You'll see the fish sitting super high in the water column, not really doing much. And then the feeding frenzy will be on, unless you get a high pressure system right behind it, and then that kind of messes things up. But it doesn't look like we're going to have that right off the rip. It looks like we're going to have a low pressure system settle in for a little bit. So Sunday, Monday time frame, it's going to be really good. Like Jordan Lake locally, I would avoid for the next 2 or 3 days because it's going to be super dangerous. Unless you're staying up north around Farrington, I wouldn't go south of the 64 bridge because that just gets so jammed up with debris, and it all runs down the river and eventually to the dam. So if you're thinking about going to Jordan, unless you have experience on it, I would not make this my first trip weekend. Just because of that. And it's going to be really good Monday, Tuesday, though.
Yeah.
You want to be out there fishing. But that lake, Harris will be stable. So if you are local and listen, you want to go have some fun, you can go out there, enjoy the last weekend of the slot limit on Sharon Harris Lake.
Yes, I know. That is news.
The slot
right
limit
there.
is gone as of 1 August from Sharon Harris. So if you've listened to us, we've talked about the slot fish. What is it? I forgot about it 'cause I don't
16 to
care.
20.
16 to 20.
So we're going out there
Yeah,
that day.
16 to
catching
20.
every-
You have to throw back. They couldn't be waiting tournaments. You couldn't keep them to eat.
What day is that?
Well, didn't a tournament
It's
go out
Thursday.
there and you were like they
They thought it had already
they had
lifted.
already lifted and you like crushed their
I
dreams?
crushed their souls. But I was like, one. It was actually Ben's club that he
Yeah.
fished. The
Oh
Bragg
yeah,
Bass
it
Busters.
was.
You know,
Yeah.
the tournament director was like, "Yeah, we get to go to Harrison. The slot limit weekend." I was like, "It doesn't start till
Who-
1
who-
August." He was like, "Are you serious?" I
Who
like,
was
"Yeah."
it? Who
I'll have to go back and look at the post. I can't remember. He was. I crushed their souls. They were all like,
It took like 9
it
pounds.
took
to
9
win.
pounds. And I think they had like 4 boats show up after they found out.
They had, yeah, I mean,
no, they had a pretty.
and listen, like, you know, we see it all the time on all the social media websites, whether it's like the Raleigh fishing page or whatever. People get so hell bent on people keeping bass, right? And eating bass.
Go to Harrison, keep some bass.
You need to go and because there is a ratio of predator fish to bait fish that exists. And if it's an unhealthy balance, you're going to stunt the growth of whatever species, right?
Well,
It's-
you can keep it healthy just through tournament catch and release more.
Oh, yeah,
but
for
you
sure.
don't have that with when you can't even put them in the live well and stress them out enough to die.
Right.
I'm not advocating for the death of fish in catch and release tournaments. It happens just catch and release immediately too. There's a certain mortality rate regardless of whether they're in the live well or released immediately. It's just part of the game. And
yeah.
so you'll get some of that byproduct because you're going to get some more tournaments to go out there now that that's gone. You're going to see a lot of like 15 to 17 pound bags, and weights are going to be super tight. And it's going to be a lot of fun to fish derbies out there for the next year or two. And then
It'll
hopefully
peter
we'll
off.
see people keep some fish and some of those numbers dwindle a little bit and they get a chance to grow.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how quickly it impacts the fishery, but it definitely was much needed, as anybody that spent time out there can tell you.
I will say this too. You guys,
Good, Chris. How are you today, bud? Hope you're doing well.
you guys may see it if you're local to the North Carolina area or wherever you're at in the country. Your local wildlife will typically post like a volunteer day where they're like planting vegetation and stuff like that. And I know these guys do too, but I plan on jumping in on some of those initiatives because I think they're really important to get the perspective of like the biologists and stuff that are, you know, planning habitat for our lakes. And, you know, once we jump into some of those, we're going to do another show and provide some of that feedback.
Ted,
for you guys.
that's for you, Ben. He said, "Hey guys, great jigs. Want a clubber using your jigs for the first time. Keep up the great
That's awesome.
product. Hard to find good products that paint doesn't chip. Your paint held up with the Green Bay rock piles." So.
Oh, that is awesome.
Well,
That's
hopefully,
good to hear,
Ted, you
Ted.
use the code the OneCast. So on your next purchase, make sure you use the code.
Jeff,
the
don't be
OneCast.
telling them about the rivers. I'm gonna be down there. Trey and I and Chelsea are gonna be down there tomorrow. We're gonna see if we can blow another lens out of a pair of Hobies tomorrow.
Don't do it, man. I'm running. I'm running limited.
But,
right?
Hey, and Ted, if you've got pictures from that weigh-in or something, and
Tag one cast fishing, yeah.
tag us in it, DM it to us. That way we can share, because that's awesome.
David Fuchs, you said you wanted to hear something about tournament etiquette, so just elaborate on that
so
a little bit.
I already know.
I
it's-
sort of do, but I want them to say it so
Okay.
we can answer just to make sure we're tracking. Because there's a lot that goes into tournament etiquette, right? Like I had 16 pounds last weekend.
it's a
Did
good-
you fish the Roanoke or the Chowan, Jeff? If you don't mind telling me. I'm going to try to fish the Roanoke because I want to frog my spots. But if
And
it's
Jeff,
if it's
wherever you
blown
fish,
out-
go ahead and drop the waypoints right here in the chat.
he
No,
said-
I'm just kidding.
He said I'll definitely be buying more. Sure will. Sounds good. Yeah, make sure you use our code, the OneCast. Save you a couple bucks.
That's right.
It's all one word.
All one word.
Roanoke. Did you just say up or down? Then that's all I need to know. It's going to be different though because
He's
we've got
trying
all
to
this rain.
bracket. He's
No,
bracketing.
because I really want to go fish like the gut and stuff, but I think it's going to be blown out because all this rain we've had. I think the lower river is going to be better. Three Sisters, okay.
Yeah.
Guys thinking that others need to follow them because of who they are. I mean, we're not. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's what I figured. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what they think, as long as you're giving them respectable distance. Then it's fine. You know, like you just gotta take it with a grain of salt. Floating trickworm in the pads. Good to know. I might try that. I've never thrown one down there, but it sounds fun.
Oh man, it's a staple bait down there.
I know a lot of people do. I just don't throw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, David, with that, you've got to just take it with a grain of salt, man. You have to not worry about it. Like there's certain people, locals to pros, that have, a certain type of, not entitlement, but like, they get big headed, right? Bravado, whatever you want to call it. And so they feel like if they're fishing an area and there's other people around, that the only reason those people were there is because they're there, and that's not always the truth, So you got to take it with a grain of salt. As long as you're keeping a respectable distance, you're not rolling up on somebody, and you're not following them to a hole, or you're not getting to a hole quicker because you saw them fishing it yesterday, that kind of stuff, At the end of the day, he who gets there first gets there, but there is some etiquette, especially in multi-day tournaments. In a single-day club tournament, but there's nothing you can do about it, bud. Like, the person was just running their mouth. You've just got to let it go. Like, you were there first. They came in and fished. As long as they were respectable distance, then, you just got to let it roll off your shoulder. You can't let it get to you. If you fish tournaments, you're going to have it happen all the time. We've had it happen. We've had people not fishing tournaments get mad at us. We had it happen at Falls in our last regular season derby. There was a stretch of bank that everybody was fishing. We rolled in and found our spot 100 yards on either side from other boats, and the guy that was behind us around the point that couldn't even see us came around and watched us catch 5 fish in about 7 minutes and got super mad about it. He wasn't fishing the derby or anything, but he was mad because we went in there and fished. At the end of the day, we just said, hey, sorry you feel it that way, but we gave you plenty of space, and Trey and I just went on about fishing.
Yeah.
I think he said he was going to meet us at the ramp, but he wasn't there when we got there.
I know. I was
Shockingly.
actually hoping he wouldn't, but would meet us at the ramp. I think
Jeff, you got to text me that creek if you were by yourself. No, I'm just playing. I know it's frustrating, David, but like, you've got to that's one of those things with tournament fishing. Guys are always going to try to blame other guys. Not everybody, but you're going to have people that try to blame other people. Like, if their spot or area isn't paying off and somebody's near, they're going to say it's because you were on my juice, or you followed me here, or whatever it is. And especially on your lakes, like, your legs aren't very big. So,
that brings me back to talking to some people at a certain Bassmaster Classic that we went to. Professional anglers, and what I mean by that is those that are fishing like the Elite Series and the BPT. A lot of those guys, especially those that are struggling in the series, man, they're doing whatever they can to make up the difference wherever else they're fishing. Right? That is not a justification for them to act like an ass. You're David. I know exactly what situation you're talking about. You were definitely the bigger man in the situation, and the reality is that person is going to end up hurting themselves in the long run, because there's an expectation out of those anglers who represent certain brands in the industry to act a certain way, right? Like, you specifically said that you would never purchase a product that certain angler ever represented just due to the fact that they acted a certain way. That is completely counterintuitive to what the organization that sponsors that angler wants them to be like, right? So at the end of the day, like, that situation is probably going to take care of itself. Obviously, sometimes they're going to fall through the cracks and stuff, but you did the right thing by being the bigger man and not leaving, by the way. Like, don't ever leave, especially if you were there first. Like, hold your ground. But at the end of the day, like, having those verbal altercations, it's not even worth it, right? Put your head down, continue fishing, do what you do best, and then feel better about yourself, because I guarantee you were able to sleep at night, and maybe that guy wasn't, man. And you know what? If he was, then it just means he was a narcissist, and let him go about his life. So
yeah. Brad said I've been big timed off a spot before it happens. Yeah, I've never been big timed off a spot, but because I'll take it to the bank with pretty much anybody except for maybe Seth Ellis, but just because he's a big man,
6 foot.
I just kind of want to hug him when
6'16".
He's just a cute guy. I mean, no, but like Trey was saying, you got to stand your ground in those situations. I mean, I've had people roll up on points I was fishing in derby stuff, and I've just been like, hey, you can just pull up and tie off to my boat if you want to. Like, if you're going to fish that close, we might as well fish right next to each other. Trey does it all the time. He rolls right up on me when I'm smashing fish, and I got to deal with him sitting there.
Jeff, don't listen to him. I sent him all my waypoints.
I like Ted's.
I was going to get to Ted. Yes.
Yeah,
So Ted said use it to your advantage. If someone cuts you off, just stay behind them. Play the mental game. I've had guys cut me off, use it to my advantage to pressure them off the spot by going around them or catch the fish they leave behind. Find a way to fish it to your advantage. Tournament fishing is 95% mental. Yep. It's that's the truth. I mean, Trey and I talked about this year, like, we weren't worried about fishing behind anybody. We've caught fish behind pretty much everybody you can name, and including ourselves. Like, how many times we've gone back and caught fish behind ourselves. So you just got to do what you got to do. And that's exactly right, dude. Stuck to your plan, Thanks for the help. on the technique I called you about. Did you catch anything on that? You gotta let us know because I don't think you let me know.
He caught short and some catfish.
Okay,
But-
at least you got bit though.
But you know what though?
John boat versus bass boat wasn't winning that one. Also wasn't fishing for anything.
I'd rather zero on a derby and feel good about myself than do something unethical or immoral and cut somebody off and catch them.
I'll say too, like John boat versus bass boat. If I'm in the John boat, I'm winning that 100% of the time because I'll take that John boat right across the deck of the boat. I'll get that 9-9 cranking and just
So,
just kidding. Don't
whatever
jump people's
Pete's
boats.
saying, don't do.
Yeah, don't do what I just said. Don't do what I just said. But you can jump a bass boat with a John boat. I'm just saying. It'll look like it'll. I'll be out there looking like what's his name, Keith Poche on a dam, just sending it. No, like there's certain times where it's just not worth the argument.
Yeah.
Not on the C rig, but I did the A rig, caught a dink. Nice on the old A rig.
Hey, listen, if the A rig is allowed in any of your tournament organizations, whoever fishes whatever, throw it.
Yeah, there's
Like,
never really a bad time.
I don't care if you think they're conditioned to it or not. Like, it straight up catches fish. And if it doesn't catch them, well, it
tells you where they're at.
it tells you where they're at, and you run it through a school. Like, you might tail hook one, and I know it's not the most ethical thing to do, but at the end of the day, you weren't sight fishing it, and you're still going to get one in the box. So that's how it works.
Speaking of sight fishing, Team Bass Tracker, that's Trey's on Team Bass Tracker. I'm on Team Aluminum Boat as well. I just have a different brand.
Yeah.
But speaking of sight fishing, because
Team grassroots.
Trey thinks if you see them on forward facing, it should be counted as sight fishing.
I
But,
agree.
they haven't eaten that since
I agree.
74. The A rig, they haven't eaten since 74.
I
What's
did.
up, Seth?
Who said that?
Seth.
Seth? Yeah.
If
Seth.
it's not a frog or a flipping bait, they don't eat it, according to Seth. No, I'm just playing. What I was going to say is Lowrance came out with that new Eagle Eye. The forward facing
$1,000.
9-inch. It has forward facing, down, forward, 2D, down imaging and mapping, and all in one transducer, all in one unit, no black box for $1,000. And it's the same
Now-
AT2 technology.
It
It is a little bit.
The line
Beam's a little
beam-
bit restricted. It's not as wide.
To me, it was like when Garmin came out for a while there. They had like I don't know what they call it. I call it Life Scope Mini because it was like it was half the beam
Yeah.
and it, of the.
no,
so,
it's
like-
it's only like like 3/4 of their.
So it's okay that yours
So it's
is
just a little bit smaller.
it's okay
But for
that it's-
$1,000, you can't even buy just the transducer for that price. You know what I mean? By the time you get transducer black box, you're at $2,500. Then you need $1,000 graph, you're at $3,500. Now $1,000, you can have a 9-inch with forward facing all in one. So they've made it affordable. It might not be movie quality because you do
knew
have.
what I was getting.
I was getting there. Because your beam is smaller. It does have a smaller what
What's
do they
up,
call
Tony?
it? The beam angle or whatever. So it's a little bit restricted, but still, if for me, I'm not as good with it like as Trey and Ben are. Trey and Ben actually use it. They'll see fish, they throw them, they'll watch their bait. Like I use it to look at what I'm doing, and if there's fish there, I fish for them.
Seth is the master. Seth is the master at scoping right now.
Jighead Minnow. He's not the
Jighead
camera.
Minnow, Seth Ellis, forward facing sonar.
You heard
No,
it here.
no
first.
takesies, backsies.
You heard it
No,
here
I'm
first.
just kidding.
Tony's been on the lake all day. I'm jealous. We'll be out there tomorrow. We're gonna leave about 300 and make the 2.5 hour drive to.
I said 10-4.
I said, you in? He said, 300. I said, yes, sir. Seth, you meeting us at the river tomorrow? We go run that nitro around.
No, Seth has already committed to being a good father.
Oh,
So
your kids would like it.
you can't even make him feel bad right now.
Your kids would like it at the river. But no, it's so yeah, the forward facing all in one it's called like Eagle Vision or Eagle something. So it's a
Yeah.
pretty cool deal.
Eagle Eye or something.
No black box, like $1,000 gets you into a forward facing. Then they have a 7-inch, it's a little bit cheaper. So you can get either a 7 or 9-inch. I just think it's cool that the argument's always been by people that they can't afford it. Now, if you can afford a graph, like an entry level graph, you can
Yeah.
afford forward facing sonar.
Yeah, it's like a half a tank of gas, bro. Like you can.
yeah, $1,000
I
pretty
mean,
much.
I remember last Christmas, Black Friday, like you could get
What's up, Tim?
the whole like live scope, the original transducer, right, the 32, and then the Echo Map 9 or whatever it was for like all in for like $1,600.
Yeah. Yeah, and now look at it. It's crazy. So I want to talk about that for a minute. Is that okay to talk about, guys? So we're not talking about forward-facing sonar specifically, but you brought something up earlier, Pete. I think we actually had this conversation. It's pretty funny. It was the three of us and Seth chilling here in the garage, and we were talking about that. But we were talking about if you can see a bass on forward-facing sonar because it is live, right?
We've already had this on a live.
Did we have this on a live?
Yeah, you're going to talk about how you think it's snagging if they're not in the mouth.
Well, ask the audience.
Yeah, what do y'all think? So if you see the fish on forward-facing sonar, it's not hooked in the mouth. Should be the same rules as sight fishing. I do not think so because you cannot go out there and snag a fish with forward-facing sonar intentionally.
So,
I will give anybody $500 if you can record yourself snagging a fish that doesn't attempt to bite your lure, and you physically watch yourself snag it. You cannot do it with a lure. You can't go out there with a big treble hook and a weight trying to snag
A
that.
bass.
And it's got to be a bass.
So, okay.
You can't go look at a big
Because it's
pot
not
of crappie out there.
it's
and be
not
like,
exact. Like, right? So we say, oh, I hit him right in the head with that. You could be 3 inches to the left, 3 inches to the right. It's just too unpredictable. So for me, I cannot physically tell that I'm snagging that fish. And that's why when I'm sight fishing and I watch the fish turn on it, I know, and people can get mad, I don't care, but I know for a fact there's pros and stuff that will set the hook and intentionally snag them in the mouth
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
know they're facing the right direction, they can do it.
So
Right. So if you're doing that and the fish turns a little bit and you get them in the side of the cheek or something, you knew what you were trying to do. You could tell that fish didn't eat it, right? Look at Trey and I in a derby this year. Like I had one roll on it. I thought he picked it up. I set the hook and he was hooked in the side.
Pete's right because if you look on the screen and you see your bait falling down, it doesn't mean it's like right next to it. You don't actually know what side it's on because so that beam, I think on live scope it's 135 degrees like vertically, and then I think it's like 35 degrees wide. So the farther you go out, there's a bigger distance there, and there you can do the math to figure it out. But if you're looking like 100 feet out and you cast out there, and it may look like on the screen that bait hit the fish in the head, but it could be 4 feet to the left of it.
Now let's put this into context, though. You talking about forward-facing sonar being vertical.
Mhm.
Let's talk about scout mode or perspective mode when you're fishing for them off the bed, like Scott Martin was doing on Okeechobee, and when you have that beam going out like that.
There's still a delay to where you can't snag them effectively.
But if you're visually seeing them and you feel a thump on the line and you set the hook and it's hooked in the side, should that be a legal fish catch? Right?
Yeah.
Because
You
if
didn't
you see that
you didn't watch it either
when
with
you're
your eyes.
physically seeing them when they're on the bed, no sonar, and they flash on it and you hook them and you thought they were in the mouth and they're snagged, they got to go back in the water.
Yeah, because I can see them.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't see them on forward. That doesn't. It's not the same. There's a delay there, so it's not. It's different. You can't. At some point, then you're going to say, even if I'm not using forward facing sonar, but if I use my down imaging and run over a school fish and I know they're on a point and I throw a crankbait and I hook one in the side because it swats at it, I knew that fish was there. Now I sight fish it.
But that's not live though.
Doesn't matter. It's the same principle. If you're using electronics, it's different than seeing it with your own two eyes in the water. That's my opinion. I get what you're saying.
And guys, just
I totally get what you're saying.
there's totally no right and wrong
No,
answers.
no.
It's just like, you know, when you're talking about evening the playing field and making a rule straight across the board, which was like one of the very first episodes that we ever talked about on this.
And it is a
podcast.
rule if it's bed fishing, even if they're using forward facing and it's snagged in the side, they can't put it in the live well.
Good.
So
Right.
if it's bed fishing,
That is a rule right now.
it is a rule right now. Yeah.
Well,
It always
I'm
has been.
behind the power curve with the rules. but
Because everybody thinks the rule's written as sight fishing. It actually is written as
Off
bed
the
fishing. Bed
right.
fishing. So if you're fishing for a fish on the bed and it's not hooked in the mouth,
yeah.
because that was the argument, and that's what caused MLF and why they haven't gone back to another smallmouth fishery, because those guys were spotting them and then they were going way back and they would have some cue to where it was at, so they couldn't physically see the fish,
Yeah, that was
so they were
type
catching
of
them
the-
hooked in the cheek and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Well, that was the issue with what's his name and this year on Bass
Uh,
in Florida.
Corey
St.
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
yeah. I mean that wasn't even using sonar. Well, he said he was using sonar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, you hear the conversations all the time, like, and you know,
For me, I'm in agreement if it's bed fishing, Trey. If you're bed fishing with forward facing sonar, yes. if you're open water
Yeah.
fishing with I think there was some confusion there. I was just lumping it all.
When
into
I say
one.
sight fishing, I mean bed fishing.
Yeah.
Because like and that's because you could be sight fishing for fry garters and stuff, without forward facing sonar and stuff like that. They're gonna eat anyways, by the way. But
Ted said he sent a couple pictures to you, Ben. He just started using your jig. Any thoughts on a 1/4 ounce finesse snaggle? Since I know he's been asked a million times about it, and
It's there's a lot of products I want to be able to do and come out with. It's just one step at a time. So
that's
yeah.
right. Well, everything takes money and resources
Mhm.
and time and things like that. And you know what? Like you look at certain companies and they try to scale too fast and they end up tanking.
Yeah.
Right. Because they don't have the capacity to keep up with 57 different products. But if you make 4 or 5 products really well, you roll with that. Right.
I mean,
so
like 1/4 ounce for sure. Like a little 1/4 ounce football head, little 1/4 ounce flipping, or even swim jigs. A lot of people want shaky head on a similar design you can do with the snaggles. I mean, there's like tons of different lead products, even spinner baits, buzz baits, if you wanted to go that way too. But so it's just one step at a time.
water clear or dirty. If you're a good bed fisher and you catch fish more than once and get it in the mouth before you put it in the box. Yeah, for me it doesn't matter if it's clear or dirty. I'm gonna catch them off the bed if they're on it. Good. Yeah, you're right. Good bed fisherman.
What's the only bait?
The only bait's a D-bone.
White D-bomb,
White
baby.
D-bone's all you need. I mean, I've proved it time and time again. I did switch it up a couple times
You
this
did.
year and go a little bit more natural.
You used a Crush City this year, didn't you?
Not on bedfish.
Oh, no,
I
it's
use
the
it on
missile
some
baits,
post
right?
spawn, but
Yeah. Another missile bait.
different missile bait. Yeah. As far as catching fish more than once, a big female you're only gonna get one swing at. Like if you get a big female snagging the side and you get her to eat again, you're a god. Typically, they don't go back to the bed. They start that circling way off, and you're pretty much done. A male that's locked on, you can catch that joker 300 times if you want to.
I mean, I've had a male on the same bed because it was at my house. So I saw my backyard there for 2 weeks. I caught him about a dozen times
Yeah.
over that 2 to 3 weeks. He's the longest fish I've ever seen on the bed.
You want to know? So, I mean, I feel like I learned this, but I already knew this year. So in our last regular season tournament event, Pete and I sacked up 16, 17 pounds in about 27 seconds, which we thought was great. We got our asses kicked, by the way. Wasn't even nothing compared to what the winners
Hey,
had.
it was good enough.
But it was good enough for AOY, right?
That was all we needed, bro.
But somebody came back to the weigh-in after that, and he talked about, man, it was at the end of the day, and I found tons of fish on the bed, but they were in like one section of the lake. That's a lesson learned for me. I know it is for Pete, right? You have to diversify your plan and not get pigeonholed on something. Obviously, we had a pretty good plan that tournament, but it really helped me like break out of that a little bit more out of that mindset. Like it was going to be one, or you're going to be able to close the deal one way. Because if we would have failed, if we wouldn't have caught him on that deal that we caught him on, we'd have been screwed, right? Potentially.
Oh no, we were screwed up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Once we got all our fish by 7 a.m. and never got bit again.
And it was 100% God's plan. Like it was meant to happen. It was meant to happen, right? But it was really cool to like hear the guys come back in that last regular season event and be like, yeah, man, I caught him in 8 to 12 foot of water. I caught him in a frog. I caught him off the bed. And it was like, holy crap. Like I didn't even look for that. So that's a lesson learned.
Well, it's funny because if you remember at one point we went up into a little creek arm and we were like, what if we just roll up in here and there's like a 6 on a bed?
On a bed.
Like that last, because it's still June, and they still spawn
They still spawn.
mid-June here. You'll find some on the bed still. And we were like, what if there's just one in here? And there wasn't. And we got back, and then that guy came out. He was like, man, I found like 15 3-pounders on the bed right with an hour.
And we could have used those.
I was like, yeah, that would have been nice. Thanks for calling me. But no, I'm just kidding. But
like,
yeah.
Don't ever pigeonhole yourself unless you're 100% sure based on your confidence that it's going to seal the deal. Like have like a variety of plans.
That goes back to when it's meant to be. It's meant to be because we pigeonholed ourselves bad. Because after we caught our 17 pounds in the first 37 minutes, we never got really bit the rest of the day. I think we caught 2 little short fish, and it made for a long, hot, sweaty, stinky day.
Yeah.
But we did what we needed to do.
And that's what separates a lot of the guys and gals from the others is like they're optimistic or they go searching, right? Or they use like one day of the tournament as a practice day, right? You see that a lot of times where they're like, you know what, I'm going to catch what I can catch real quick and I'm going to go use the rest of the day to practice. Practice could be in the beginning of June looking for beds, man, and it could play a factor. And I kept replaying that for some odd reason over the last couple months in my head. And I'm like, I can't believe I didn't even think about that. You know, that makes me just like straight like JV Bush League type stuff. And I want to break out of that. So be better than us. Be better.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it Bush League. Like the bite we had was really good leading up to it. And we just,
It's
like the water changed and
Yeah.
the stupid Army Corps didn't update water levels. And we didn't recognize it
We
until
didn't
later in the
visually
day.
recognize it. Yeah.
Until it was a little bit later in the day how much it had dropped. And had it not dropped, I think it was a completely different day for us, you know.
Yeah.
But
and it also sounds like the bed deal was kind of a fluke.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
a fluke. You just had
Because-
he went to an area because he had a history on the lake where he knew they spawned late. So if you had, I know there were spots on Harris. I could have gone the third week of June and I could have showed you fish on the bed.
Yep.
I know there's spots on Jordan. I could have went the third week of June and showed you fish on the bed. Like if you spend time on the lake, you know, those areas that tend to spawn a little bit later. So I don't think it was a fluke, but it was a lack of lake knowledge, knowing like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, this is typically
It's one of those little
like
special
3
deals
weeks
that-
behind the rest of the lake. And if you come in here, those late spawners is where they're going to be, right?
Yeah.
And he said I specifically went in there to see if they were there. And he's like, and I rolled in, it was like,
And they
there's
were
a
there.
3, there's a 3, there's a 3 with a big female, there's a 3. And he's like, none of them would bite. And then finally I got them to start biting and I had to come back because
Yeah.
time was up. So
Yeah.
it was one of those deals. Like, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think it was Bush League because what you found in practice, I would have 150 million% done the exact same
Yeah.
thing. There was no need to look for anything else the way, and we found a frog bite and like,
Oh.
it was all day, the day before, 2
Yeah.
days before.
Yeah.
And then they dropped the water level because of Memorial Day overnight and it sucked those fish off there and we just got lucky.
Yeah. It
But-
just goes to show you that there's so many things you got to pay attention to in this like little sport.
And I think it ended up getting one offshore.
Oh,
Well, one of their big fish came off a frog, and that was
Yeah.
Corberston that one. The rest was off.
Hey, what do you got, Corpus? Like
Yeah,
21,
Yeah,
24.
Mike.
but you're gonna take that lesson learned now for
Oh,
probably
yeah.
like every single lake now, like up until probably mid-June.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of going straight, maybe looking to offshore,
Yeah.
if you're going to a new body of water, you might go take a couple peeks in a couple pockets here and
Yeah.
there in different parts of the
You know,
lake.
keep going. I'm sorry.
Because I mean, I think you guys found a good bite. They were post spawners. People were catching one at offshore. I mean, that's what you're thinking. Yeah, there's a change in that local special knowledge.
Oh yeah.
But now you're like, okay, that's in the back of my head. So, hey, when I'm on a lake in early June, I might just go peek here and there just to see.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know who said it. I think it was Brandon Polinick years ago. I was watching one of his videos, and his method was like, dude, always eliminate the shallow bite first. I don't care if you're like the best scoper in the world and I mean, maybe that's being debunked now because of people have been able to chase big fish out in the middle of the opens and stuff. But nevertheless, like here in the Piedmont region, I'm going to follow that model, which is like, I'm going to eliminate that shallow bite first. And then, oh, by the way, even if it's not going on that day, it could be going on 2 days after that.
I think
right?
a big reason for that is the shallow bite is typically a moving bait bite, or you can get bit with a moving bait. So you can cover a ton of water super fast, and you can figure out if I fish 300 yards and I get 7 bites, the fish are shallow.
Yep.
Right. Like I can do that. Whereas if I'm looking for points, is it rock that they're on? Is it wood? Are they on grass lines? There's a little bit more that goes into the offshore game.
Let me ask you, because I don't know, because I don't know how they're actually catching them. Because I know those big bags they're catching right now in Jordan. They've been catching them pretty shallow all year long.
Yes.
But past maybe post spawn, like the traditional shallow bite, like when everyone starts to go looking offshore, but we know they're catching them shallow. Are they catching them mostly on moving baits?
Yeah, and
moving bait, a lot of it's like jigs and stuff too, fishing.
Yeah,
slow.
and crankbaits.
So that was my other question. Like, do you think if there was a disparity, like going down the bank or shallower, right, fishing, maybe up to 6 to 7 feet, right at however you want to define it, but like cranking or something, hitting that underwater stuff you can't see, rather than are they pitching and flipping
Yeah.
to lay downs to catch.
They're flipping laydowns mostly.
Yeah.
I can tell you before I even had a twinkle in my eye about how to fish offshore, I mash fish year round on Jordan in 2 foot of water, flipping
Oh.
laydowns.
I think, you know,
With a jig.
we talked about that
Mhm.
a long time ago too. That like 4 to like, or maybe that 6 to 12 foot water depth range, or maybe 6 to 8,
That
whatever.
mid-depth,
That
yeah.
mid depth range is so overlooked, to include myself. I overlook that. I don't overlook that. I just don't. I don't
fish it.
fish it. Right.
I think
that's-
mine's like the 4 to 10 foot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
such
like
a,
that.
and I guarantee you I'm missing out on a ton of fish, right? Because you think of that transition period, you think of you know, and that's what's kind of screwed me up here. And maybe you guys feel it, you know, depending on where you're at, like deep is relative. But deep for me is in that 15-foot range based on
Mhm.
my home lake, right? But that is not the case on a lot of other lakes. It could be 8 to 10. It could be 12 maximum, right?
Or it could be a lot more.
Or it could be a lot more, right? It could be a table rock type deal, right?
And you say something about that kind of that mid depth range. Like I've had a lot of success on Jordan with that, especially late May, June, even in July, because you know how that water willow grows,
Yeah.
especially down in the river sectional and steeper banks. Like sometimes they'll be kind of up in the grass, right? So you kind of like pitch the grass, or they'll be right on the edge. But all the times you can throw up on that edge and drag your worm, creature bait, or whatever to that first or second drop off, and they're just sitting right there. And that it's really in 4 to 7 to 8 foot of water. But a lot of times, it's easy just to be on top of them, you know,
Right, your
working
boat's right over the
because you're
top.
working the grass, feeling the grass, and but when you fish that way, like it's slow.
Yep.
Because
That's why I never fish that stupid grass at Jordan, because they're never in it anyway. I never catch them in that dumb grass.
I've had
Or your boats.
I know
over
a
the
lot of
top
people.
you.
I know a lot of people have. I've only ever caught them in front of the
I've
grass.
had an amazing day on spinner baits in that
Never
grass.
caught a fish in the grass on Jordan ever.
Oh
It's-
man,
I've tried to keep it honest. I just don't even fish it anymore.
and you know, and that's
just
one of
doesn't
those
work for
deals,
me.
right? Like
Yeah.
he might be in the right place at the wrong time, and you were in the right place at the right time, right?
I will
Just
say,
never know.
it's been a less of a pattern for me on Jordan than say at Tillery.
Tillery. Yep.
Like Tillery, and it's got, you know, it doesn't have as many laydowns, but it's got all those wood boat docks.
Yeah,
which are,
you're right, Jeff.
essentially.
Once you find the depth parallel
Same
in the
thing.
bank is key.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, I'm not exactly sure what you were trying to say here. You said I got something to say. Why do boats, bass boats, when you're fishing? I think you say why do boats pass boats when you're fishing? You're 10 foot off the bank and they still climb up your butt.
Oh,
Going to the bank.
dude.
What's it called? I think what you're trying to say is why do boats get so close to you when you're fishing? One simple word: dumbassery.
Or lack of awareness.
Yeah,
Right.
it could be lack of awareness. It's just people being ignorant.
So okay, so I told you about that last week. I don't think I did. I
Oh
mention
no,
it
you didn't
online?
mention it on the show.
So this was really cool, man. So this was really shitty, and then this was really cool at the same time, Tony. I was out fishing last Saturday because my 2D is not working on my freaking trolling motor, so whatever. But I went out to figure out if I could fix it with a wire, and I fished, and I caught the snot out of them. But in that time, I had 2 boats run between me and the area I was fishing. We're talking like maybe a 50-yard
What's up,
gap
Dwayne?
between me and the bank. It happened twice. And then I watched that same boat do that to 2 guys that were fishing offshore on a flat. And I actually talked to some of the guys and I was like, man, it's pretty disrespectful. It was a lack of awareness. I have no idea why. But at the same time, later on that day, I had a family in a pontoon boat come down and go to idle speed. And as they were passing me, I was fishing. I heard them, and their kid asked, why are we slowing down? And the lady said, to be respectful, right? And it was the first time, I think in a long time, or maybe ever, that I seen that happen.
I've never seen a pleasure boat.
And it caught me off guard, man. I don't even know if I had my GoPro going or not, but I was just like taken back by it. I was like, wow, did that really just happen? I have no idea why. I can't give you a reason, but
If you somehow hear this, thank you.
yeah, thank you so
That's
much
awesome.
for the family that was on the pontoon boat with like 150 horsepower Mercury on that thing, like blasting down the lake, and they came to a straight stop. and idled past me. And I was in the middle of the lake ish fishing. But Tony, it goes back to just like, you know what, sense of entitlement. They don't care. They don't know, whatever the case may be, because not everybody out there, I mean, most people out there, they don't understand what you're doing.
Jet skis are the worst.
They don't understand that you're fishing, right? They don't care.
I mean,
you know?
I mean, you could be standing in your bow, but they don't know where you're casting at. They don't know what you're doing. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we go out there to target fish, and we ask ourselves the same question: what the hell are they doing? Why are they out there blasting around like look stupid, right? But at the same time, they're looking at us saying the same thing. Like, why is that guy like sitting there like staring at that thing on the front of his boat? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Jet skis are the worst. But I'll tell you what, we talked about this before, Jeff. You can use those wake boats and those jet skis and all those things to your advantage, depending on what body of water you're on too. Because the more they're chopping up that lake, especially if it's like slick snot like glass, I think a lot of times it fires those fish up. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we're getting close to Tony. You had, I don't know if you sent a picture.
He said blank.
Blank. So, we're getting close to that hour mark though, so we got a giveaway to do, obviously. But first, we want to talk about upcoming events. So I'm going to pull the dates up because I have a terrible memory today. I've got too much going on. So September 7th, if you're in the Raleigh area, head over to the second annual Warrior Fest Tap Yard for Warrior Fishing. It's at Tap Yard in Raleigh. It's a cool brewery. We're going to be there doing Fishing Friday live from there on September 7th. I worked it out with the venue. We're going to be set up running the live from there. There's going to be food. There's going to be some bands. We're going to have some giveaways. I think Dwayne, if you're still on, I think there's going to be a cornhole tournament or something like that.
Oh, I'm down.
So it'll be a good time. It's always a ton of fun. So make sure you check that out. Mark it on your calendar. September 2nd, the second annual Warrior Fest at the Tap
September
Yard.
7th.
September 7th. Yep. See, I was reading it and I still messed up.
September 7th.
It's because November 2nd is the Warrior Fishing event, which is an all species tournament. It's on Sharon Harris. It's just they're going to pair you up with a warrior and you're going to go out and go fishing. And you can bring in crappie, you can bring in bass, you can bring in catfish, whatever you want. There'll be giveaways. There'll be food. I'm gonna go snag one of those giant carp. Yeah,
I'm gonna bow fish them.
I'm gonna get one to eat a pop.
Dwayne, can we do that? Can we just bow fish carp?
There's gonna be food. There's gonna be awards and prizes. All of that fishing. So make sure you check that out. That one's November 2nd, and then the very next Friday, which is what, the 8th, I think, is the Special Operations Bass Anglers. It's on Veterans Day Friday. Which is, Trey's going to tell us right now, November 8th.
So that would be November 9th.
9th?
Yep. Oh, no, November 8th. I'm sorry.
So it's Friday, November 8th, and that is in
Lake Norman?
Lake Norman, yeah. We'll have to check on that, but current rules say pool catching only. All right, yeah, we'll have to look into a bow fishing.
Fine, Dwayne.
A bow fishing division. Most of dead grass carp wins. But yeah, so then the following weekend, you can go support our friends over at Special Operations Bass Anglers. We will all be there. Mike Johns will be there. Our boy from New Jersey will be coming down. David Houston, his wife. Christine will be down fishing
Mama
that.
Fuchs.
They've got a friend coming down to fish it, and his wife. So it is going to be a blast.
Seth Ellis will be there. He's going to fish.
Seth's going to come over and fish it.
Yeah, we just tagged him for that.
Yeah, Seth will be there fishing it. It's going to be a blast. Like we'll be over there for. We're going to get the house, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we'll pre-fish a day, and then we will fish tournament, and then we'll fun fish Friday, and maybe fun fish a little. We'll fish tournament Friday, fun fish Saturday, maybe fun fish a little bit Sunday, and then head on out. So looking forward to that one. Lake Norman that time of year with the spots is a ton of fun. It can be a straight, just top water sleigh fest if that's what you want to do.
Bonanza.
You can catch them on an A rig. You can catch them on jig head minnow. You can catch them on a jig.
Shaky head.
Pretty much whatever you want to do.
Snagless jig.
Just like I was going to say.
It might be Wednesday, David. I wasn't able to book it yet because of buying the house. So Trey's going to book it. I got to send him the info.
If Ted's still on, I got his message.
So yeah,
here,
it'll be Wednesday.
And the pictures, their smallies are awesome. They came off the jig.
Got some brown fish.
Yeah, check
Nice.
those little
Well,
small.
congrats. We'll definitely Ben will share those, and then we'll take a look.
We'll be posting
once he gets those posted up. So yeah, Special Operations Bass Anglers November 8th, Take a Warrior Fishing November 2nd, and then the Warrior Fest September 7th at Raleigh Tap Yard. If you're in the area, be there, come hang out, drink some beers,
Or be square.
eat some food, and all of that stuff. She can look at houses. The problem is 99% of those houses, you can't fit boats in the driveway, more than one, if you can even get one. So the one we have, we can fit. Well, we had dang like 7 boats there
Dude,
last
we
year.
had
We had boats
lot of
everywhere.
boats. Yeah.
So we'll get that one. They give a veteran discount. So Trey was going to call and put that
And
because I can't charge it to my card
Army
right now.
veterans discount, David.
Yeah, Army veterans discount.
Not Air Force. No, just kidding.
But
David,
or I can send it to you, David. If you want to book it, I can send you the info.
David said he was going to fight an Army guy today.
I'll hit you up, David. I'll hit you up. We'll talk about it a little more. I just my timeline got kind of thrown off when the offer got accepted on the house. So because you know how that goes, you got to be careful where you're spending money.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell by all the packages
Congratulations on
showing up.
closing on your outhouse.
What's up, Jesse? Y'all boys are legit. I want to grow up to be like y'all. What do you mean we're legit? We're just sitting here talking. What are you doing, Jesse? Hope you're doing well, bud.
Jesse's out there breaking necks and cashing checks, dude.
They probably actually give a better discount to Air Force guys because you don't have to worry about them tearing anything up.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of Army dudes just get drunk and tear the house down. Air
Yeah.
Force guys are too busy sipping tea.
That's why they
eating
get paid
crumpets.
special duty pay when they live in our quarters. It's not good enough for them.
Hardship pay.
Z Sombex. What's up, bud?
Z Sunbex. I have a bag of baits for you to give away at
Takeaway Fishing. Jeff, I again forgot to text you back. I know you texted me and I was in the middle of house stuff and I completely forgot. We'll hook up, bud. Easy beat.
David's getting riled
Love
up
you, mean it.
now.
Love you, mean it. Love
Jesse, I'm glad
Um,
to see you on, bro. We haven't seen you in a while. Not really. The wife and I said
My
on.
wife said I'm on the suck train. On the suck train fishing.
No, dude.
I just had some ball head jigs made, weedless, 3-aught hooks, no weed guard. Nice.
Pickwick was Pickwick, Jesse. I mean,
Pickwick did Pickwick
I
stuff,
mean,
man.
you either got on the schools or you didn't. You know, it's not a. I mean, that doesn't define you. You know that.
Yeah, that was a tough one for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
That was
I mean, I didn't catch anything, Jesse, and I wasn't there. So
anytime
sucked worse than you.
Patrick Walters whoops on people, I mean, it just is what it
it's
is.
no
That
surprise when
that guy's
Patrick
just-
Walters. Yeah.
That guy's just on a roll for the last two and a half
I think he
years.
has like some sort of like ability to like call fish to him or I don't know. It's weird, man.
The
It
shorts.
freaks me out.
It's the shorts.
Freaks me out, dude.
Just look at the number of elite events. Like, if he can win a classic at some point in time, he's got to be up there in that conversation of top anglers of our generations. You know what I mean?
Jesse already set records, so he caught the
Jesse does
largest
have the largest
bass on the National Professional Fishing League's history. I think that thing was almost 11 pounds, like 10.9 pounds at Lake Amistad. So definitely hang your hat high on that. And you smashed him this year in the Fisher's Men, Jesse. So, you know, I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, Jesse. Don't be self-deprecating. It makes Trey sad.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
Patrick and the house juice. That house does have some juice in the league.
Yes,
That's for
yeah.
sure. Them guys work well.
You know what?
So
If you guys know Patrick Walters, have him come up in November, fish the Special Operations Bass Anglers Tournament.
no,
No, you know what? Don't call. You know what? That is a great event, guys. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
if he can make it and you do know him, call him. That would be awesome.
we want every pro to come fish that event because the more support that we show the special operators families, and they're the ones that usually attend the events at the weigh-ins, you know, that money goes towards a great cause. You know, we got so many men and women in uniform that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Those events don't happen often enough, but when they do, they're very important. So any professional angler that can get behind that, we really appreciate.
And
your
there's
support
usually a
coming
few
out.
that show up. Shaw Grigsby fishes it every year. He'll be there. Hank Cherry's fished it before. We've had who else has fished it? There have been a bunch of people that have fished it. And I'm not going to try to remember everybody's name. I think Brian Newf has fished it a couple times. So
Brian Thrift.
Brian Thrift
Thrift,
fished it quite a
Thrift,
few
yep,
times.
yep,
Like
yep.
it's a good time. So definitely check it out.
Yep.
If you're anywhere closer, if you're looking to take a fall fishing trip to a lake that is really fun in the fall, like you can catch them cranking. It's like Bubba Gump and shrimp. You want to do it, you can get a bass to eat at that time of year.
Don't follow me. Follow someone else because I sucked down.
So
that
we're
lake
going
last
to
year.
Red Crest and Chickamauga and Nick Jack to watch Major League fish, and maybe we'll make time to come up your fish with y'all. That'd be awesome, man.
Tony, you come down to see us and then maybe make time to go to the Red
Yeah.
Crest. We appreciate that.
I wonder if
And,
Red Crest happens next year.
Yeah, we'll see. But no, that is a pretty cool
The
place.
plan. We'll
No,
see.
that's a great place for them to have a Red Crest, like Chickamauga, Nickajack. Like that's a really good place. And what month is that? Like March,
I don't
It's
know.
like March or April.
March or April. So it's gonna be a slugfest for sure.
They released
Yeah.
their schedule and I already forgot the entire thing.
Yeah,
Other
they're hitting a lot of those Tennessee rivers.
than
like
Smith
stuff
Mountain, which is going to be
before
an
the
awesome
ledge
event.
fishing.
Yeah. And
Smith
they got
Mountain
Potomac
Lake.
too. That's
Well,
cool.
they fish that every year. That's like their what's the MPFL's one? Saginaw Bay.
Saginaw.
They fish the Potomac every year. That's just one of those one of those fisheries. But
I don't
Smith
know.
Mountain's going to
I'm not-
be
Not this year.
yeah,
No.
they fished it this year.
No.
They went they went to the Potomac.
No, they didn't go to Potomac. They
Where-
went to
The James.
the James River.
So it's all the same difference. Literally the same fish.
Totally different bodies of water.
Literally
but
the same.
the
fishery.
same.
They're literally the same fishery.
All right, let's do this.
Tidal rivers in Virginia.
I
they're the same.
drove over both this last week.
Yeah,
Let-
either the same.
Let's do this giveaway, guys. This is the last month, the last Friday that we have the giveaway. We've done 5 straight months of giveaways, and it's because of you guys, right? And here's my challenge to you. Here's our challenge to you guys. Share our episodes, whether or not it's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
I agree that you need
Um,
to add bass fishing to the.
Share our Spotify, share our Apple podcast, share that with all your friends that like to listen
click
to
on that.
like to listen to
What is that connected to?
shut up, Pete. Share all of our episodes with your friends, please. That's the only that's one of the major ways that we can grow the channel, we can grow the podcast, we can grow the lives, all that stuff. Sharing it with your friends. So if your friends like to listen to outdoor podcasts, things that are educational, informational, please share them. Help us continue building this channel. Leave those reviews when you can. Have your friends leave their reviews. But we're going to jump into this giveaway. All right, so you guys know how it works. Pete's working out the deal right now with the wheel of names, and you should be able to see it.
Yeah, it's going to take up most of the screen. You should be able to see it. Remember how this works. If you don't remember, there are going to be 3 spins. The first 2 don't mean anything. So if your name comes up, I'm sorry.
Dude,
You were just a trial. So the first 2 don't mean anything. It's just to show that it's random. It is random, so it can land on the same name. It typically doesn't. But and then the third spin is for all the marbles. Winner this month, you see the jigs. You're going to get a Carolina Waters prize package with a hat and shirt. You're going to get a custom jersey that Mike Johns is hooking you up with FX3. The only stipulation there is you have to have the FX3 logo and our OneCast podcast logo on the jersey, and then they'll hook you up with any other logos that you have the rights to on that. So let's go ahead and do the first practice spin. I don't know if you guys
that's just going to be Christine Fuchs.
She won last month, right?
She did.
Yeah.
We still owe
would have been Randy.
You guys over all their plastics that fit well with all these jigs.
This is number 2 again. This is not Travis or Andrew.
Sorry, Andrew.
Andrew Bodine. Sorry, Andrew. So this one is for all the marbles, the final giveaway in our 5 months of giveaways. So let's do it. Good luck, everybody on the list.
Oh, it's the big one. Oh.
Zach Van Voorhees. Zach is a longtime listener of the show and fan of the show.
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Zach.
Are you related to Jason Voorhees?
I don't know if you are watching this week. Hopefully you are. If you are, then did you take a picture of that?
I did.
If you are, then DM me and we'll get your address, or we can just meet up because you're local. It would be a lot cheaper than shipping this giant box of jigs.
Yeah.
And then Carolina Waters will get you in contact with Nick Kincaid over there, and then we'll get you hooked up with Mike Johns for the jersey. So congratulations, Zach.
It's awesome.
Congratulations, everybody. You want one of what, Dave? You want one of the jerseys? We can get you connected with Mike. He can definitely
that's
make
too
that
easy.
happen. Man, super excited. I appreciate everybody being here. Again, make sure you check out the Warrior Fishing events coming out, warriorfishing.org. Make sure you check out Hero Harvest and everything they do. That's the 501c3 that Trey works with. I think they're heroesharvest.org.
Yeah, they are.
You can check out FX3 and our boy Mike Johns. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back a couple and check that one out. That's an emotional one. We've had several people message us saying they were crying, and there's nothing wrong with that. So go listen to Mike's story and how he's trying to help our veterans. That is fx3inc.org. And then, of course, you can check out is that already? Oh, no, Special Operations Bass Anglers. You can check out SOBA on Facebook. They don't have a website yet. I think that Nick's working on them getting that, but just search Special Operations Bass Anglers on Facebook. You can find their group, and that they keep you updated there with the tournament. If you are going to fish that derby, you got to message that page. That's how you get entered, and they're doing boat numbers by how you register. So I happen to know boat number 1, great guy. His name's Pete. Super guy. Probably going to go out there and lose. Trey Thompson, he's a little sketchy, but he's second.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys are looking for jerseys, we'll get with Mike Johns. I'm surprised Mike's not on here. I'm going to call him castricize him, ostracize him, whatever.
You know what?
Castrate him after we finish up.
The last couple episodes that we've done on our podcast, not on the lives, we talk about fishing or the outdoor as a healing opportunity and therapy and stuff like that. Mike is in a state of healing right now. You know, the guy that we just had on yesterday, Rick and Bass and He talks about healing in the outdoor therapy. Like, go back if you're one of those, or you know somebody that's struggling, that's you know, kind of working through mourning the loss of a loved one, or just in general, refer them to those episodes. There's a lot of great words of encouragement. Like, the outdoors offers so many different experiences that not a lot of people understand. If you're in a position to take somebody fishing, take them fishing. There's no justification other than just wanting to take somebody fishing. There's no permission needed. So, you know, get those folks in the outdoors. Let's help grow this sport. Let's help grow the recreation. And then the only other thing is David said on here, he got his Take a Warrior Fishing jersey.
Yeah.
You can go and order your Take a Warrior Fishing jersey. I don't know the link to
warriorfishing.org. It's all right on the website. You can order one. It's got our logo on it.
Yep. $50.
It's got everybody who supports the organization's logos. One Cast Fishing's on. There's a bunch of good companies on there. $50, and the proceeds all go to helping us continue to run events, helping us get warriors out on the water. So yeah, love y'all. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. Stay safe out on the water if you're getting there this weekend, and help us continue to grow a culture of anglers helping anglers, one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.